What's worse than an ad interrupting your favorite music or podcast? That uninspired coffee you've been drinking while working, which is why Flavia is elevating your everyday coffee experience. Now you can enjoy cafe-quality beverages like coffee, tea, frothy lattes, and creamy hot chocolate made right in your home office, actual office, or wherever you want to upgrade your mug with bold, delicious flavors. Visit Flavia.com to shop the collection of machines and beverages now.
Choice Hotels get you more for your money so you can maximize any road trip. Like with the road trippers we see here in their natural habitat, the breakfast area at a Comfort Inn. Here's a dad teaching his son how to make waffles, fluffy golden waffles. There's a mom making sure her daughter eats some fruit to avoid the "I'm hungry" from the back seat. And a sibling standoff over the last muffin. This is the cycle of vacation maximizationing in all its glory. Check into more. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
You're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs with me, Giles Bidder. This is the show where we hear from musicians and artists and try and make sense out of what's going on in music right now by hearing about all the different jobs they've done. On today's episode, we hear from Ambrose Kenny-Smith of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, who have spent the last 15 plus years with one foot in the real world and the other in the Gizverse. Their 27th album, 27th record, Phantom Island, is out now. It's excellent. They're about to do some shows in Australia with an orchestra, also some rock and roll shows. You know all about this band. They don't really need an introduction. I was excited to speak with Ambrose. We had a good one yesterday, and here it is coming up. I hope you enjoy. If you do, make sure you leave a review if you're able to, or subscribe on Spotify or Apple. All that stuff is massively helpful for us. We're a small independent company and we love doing this, so all of that stuff helps our claim to keep on going. Nice one. And after the jump, we'll be hearing from Ambrose from King Gizzard. 101 part-time jobs. When you think about like your years in King Gizzard and you're on album 27 now, there's a lot of like organization that you have to put yourself into. How do you think that you've been able, as a band, but personally, how do you think that you've been able to do it like this long and like, you know, this successfully, right? Because you're like a successful band doing things on your own terms. How do you think that's been able to happen?
Well, just from having, I guess, a lot of just drive and ambition from the start to make things happen in whatever way they could be done. In the beginning, no one wanted to sign us, so we just decided to try and do our own label, and then everything just sort of snowballed from them. Having Eric manage the band and run the label, it just became also in-house, and then Stu was just already from the start, like before King Gizzard, he was already recording like his own band and my old band, like from high school. He recorded our last EP, and he was recording Murloc stuff as well. So he was just already like he was from when the band started. He was just recording all the stuff and would produce, and just everything just sort of just came naturally from then on. And that's what has made us being able to make so many records. And the fact that we were able to get overseas and start touring, that was just a lucky situation of us winning a prize money from a beer company. And then,
oh really? What happened there?
There's this beer, Carlton Dry, in Melbourne, and when it was first like Carlton is like it's a beer here in Melbourne that's quite popular, and they started Carlton Dry, And I guess in the promotional sense, it was cool. They were doing like almost, it was almost like you would submit your portfolio or whatever, like you were already a band. You didn't have to like, it wasn't like a battle of the band situation, but it kind of was, I guess, by like applied for a grant essentially, but it was just from a beer company. And we were like, we won it that year, and they only did it for a couple of years. And we, being a 7-piece at the time, it was just like, wow, okay, we can go overseas. So we kind of just did that.
Yeah.
We all saved a little bit of money to feed ourselves a bit, and yeah, we just made it happen. And yeah, that's sort of what set us up.
I'm just reading now. So that was $50,000, US, Australian dollars, not US dollars.
No, just Australian.
So
Yeah.
there is a big difference there, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure. But in 2014, that went a long way.
Yeah, for sure. And like you say, even with 7 members, it's like, fuck. Do you remember? I mean, we're going back a long time now, but do you remember that feeling of being like, oh fuck, we can go away, like we can tour?
Yeah, I still remember where I was when Stu called me and was like, and told me that we'd won and that we're gonna go tour overseas. It was the best news ever at that point.
That's funny. What you're saying about like self-recording. I mean, looking back, I mean, it's a perfect time to do stuff yourself, because like 2010, that was just when, in the UK at least, major labels would stop offering like big advances to indie bands. Internet and streaming was taking over. People were realizing there wasn't as much money as there was in the music industry. So yeah, looking back, are you like, oh, that was actually like a kind of perfect timing, really?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know where we would be if that hadn't come, because I feel like we'd reached the sort of surface we could here in Australia by that point, and we needed to branch out. We needed to go overseas. So if that hadn't have happened, I don't know what would have happened, because I feel like the year prior to that we'd gotten like accepted to play like South by Southwest and stuff, but we just didn't have money to go or do any of that stuff.
You had to turn down the South by Southwest stuff.
We didn't do that, and then we went and did CMJ in New York, which I can ultimately turned out to be a bit better, like for us, and we were able to stick around, and we did a residency at Baby's Alright in New York, and then we toured Europe, and it definitely went the distance for us.
Did you all like give yourself jobs? You said like Eric was managing and doing the label, but I mean, there's a lot that goes into, I don't know, like booking the hostel, booking the transport, travel, gear.
I was pretty useless and still am, to be honest. I couldn't even they wouldn't even let me behind the wheel. I feel like I just got my license like maybe after the first trip, and yeah, I was too much of a stoner drop kick to be trusted with any responsibilities, to be honest. I wasn't even trusted to, like, we were using like this Priceline app thing at the time, where when we were driving in the night after a gig, you'd be able to like get these like random American roadside hotels through this like app at the time, that you get these deals. I feel like I wasn't even allowed to even like pick one of those. I probably would have just fucked it up. So yeah, I was
That's funny.
I can't think of myself being that useful, to be honest. I feel like, I don't know, maybe
Don't
I just
put yourself
had, like,
down.
if anything, I probably just had ties from my skating world and lifestyle. I had lots of like friends and stuff that were in, that I feel like I was able to help sort of accumulate people to do video clips, and I hooked us up with Jace. Jace was a friend of mine through skateboarding, who now does all our artwork, and has from the start. So if anything, I was maybe brought a few ins. That's about it.
You're a connector. That's important.
I was a connector. Could connect some dots. Yeah.
You were pretty deep in skating then, were you?
Yeah. Very deep.
I know Matlock Bennett Jones. He skates for Passport and
Oh
lives in
yeah, I
London.
know him. Yeah, he's a lovely dude.
There's some like similarities to playing music, right? Is that you do this thing for so long, you don't get paid for it. There's so many chances for you to kind of like stop because like all the circumstances seem to be like against you, especially with like injury in skateboarding, right? Like you don't go out and
Yeah.
and skateboarding, you don't get paid to skate. You know, you might get paid $50 to play a gig at the pub, but you obviously don't get paid to skate.
You can get paid to skate, but definitely I feel like you can't get paid as well as you did, 10, 15 years ago. I feel like when we were growing up, skating was like, there's a lot more like shoe sponsors and things were a thing, and now it's all sort of like a monopoly of more sport-based shoes and things. I feel like it is a bit harder to make money from skating, and even then, so even in its like golden era, it's not very like a longevity type thing of making income. But yeah,
Do you still?
but yeah, you're right in the sense of that, like you both pretty much can be like barely scraping by, and there's even people that are like really successful, or there's just sort of like, and then there's just like a bit of a gray area in between.
It's so obvious to anyone in skateboarding, but if you're looking from a bit of a distance, it's kind of absurd how much time and like dedication it requires to become like a pretty good skater.
So much time, dedication, and just like mental exhaustion. And like as you said, injuries and all those types of things, and people do some crazy, death-defying things that like also send them kind of like somewhat insane for only like 2 or 3 seconds of footage.
Who are your favorite skaters at the moment? I've been seeing a lot of Gabriel Summers. I know he's been around a long time, but
Yeah, I know Gavas from way back in the day. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have many favorites. I feel like there's lots and they're always changing. And it's always sort of my friends and stuff that I grew up skating with. But out of my friends, there's probably favorites are like Tom Snape and Jack Kirk. Probably my favorites.
do you step on a skateboard now? Or is there like a lot of fear about breaking your arm or like just hurting your wrist?
Yeah, well, I did break my elbow in October.
Fuck.
And yeah, like it's always with skating. It's always like when you're just not paying fully attention, and it could be just like hitting a rock on the ground or like something. Just like it's never like when you're actually focused trying to do like a trick. It's always just when you're like just like half in it, and then you just like eat shit. Yeah, I just ate shit on a fucking curb and at a skate park, and I like just in a split second just like smashed onto my like beer gut on the corner of this curb on my elbow, and like I smacked my head on it too, and I just straight away grabbed my wrist and was like, oh, thank God. And I grabbed my elbow and I could just feel the bone like swimming. And
Fuck.
Jason Blair was there with me because we were sort of skate buddies. We always like would take our boards on tour and go off on missions. But we were at the skate park just here in Melbourne, and he's like, oh fuck, and he drove me straight to the hospital, which is luckily not too far away from where we were. And yeah, just the whole time I was just like, oh man, I'm in so much trouble. Stu and like Michelle, manager, and the guys are gonna kill me because we're leaving for the tour in like 2 weeks. And I was like rushing to get surgery before I left. So I got a metal plate, like a metal like tins and stuff in there. And I got that done, and then I jumped on a plane to LA like a week or 10 days later, and I had to do that whole November tour in a splint. I just wasn't able to play sax. But that's all right because I can't really play sax anyway. I just pretend to. But I was able to like do mostly everything else. Harmonica, I had to play a bit half-assed with one hand, but I made it work. But after that, I was like, oh, I don't know. I've done that like a bunch of times now where I've like, because we're always perpetually on tour. Like I broke my wrist before an Aussie tour way back in the day. Had to tape a harmonica bullet mic to my cast, and it was sitting in like the palm of like my hand in the cast. And by the end of it, the smell down there was like I'd be like dry reaching on stage. and then, and then later, a few years later, I fractured my knee, like essentially like cracked the bone, my shin bone, just below my kneecap, and I had to
Fuck.
do another Aussie tour in a wheelchair, basically, and
Oh
crutches and
man.
stuff. So yeah, this time now it's like with my elbow, it's like oh. So yeah, it's been a bit of depressing 8 months because skating is such a big part of my life and my identity almost, I still have just this
Yeah.
like my favorite like dopamine hit, guilty just satisfaction is just watching skate videos all day long.
Mate.
But
Same.
yeah, but I just like yeah, it's just bummed me out because I can't step on a board. And then I had to go just on this tour recently. I took my board and we're in Lithuania. I was just trying to just snow slide down this like little harbor thing we found. Pretty stupid thing to maybe try after not skating for 8 months or whatever. And like I straight away like I did it sort of, but not the whole way. And I was trying to go the whole way, and then I just like on one of these little steps, I just fucking like rolled my ankle. And then I just like had it strapped up with ice on it for like a few days and bruised. And I was just like, oh, like just the thing of getting older. And it's the thing of
Yeah.
like if you don't do something as much as as I used to when I was younger, I do it every day. As soon as you stop
Mhm.
doing something every day, that's when you're prone to hurt yourself.
101, 101, part-time jobs, 101, 101, 101, part-time jobs. Do you know, with all these injuries, I remember, it's probably a few years ago now, but I remember seeing like a photo of an airline that had been knocking around your gear, and I think maybe it was like your Stu's guitar that got like the
And
neck
then,
just clean snapped off. And I think like especially with like 6 of you in the band, or just like a number of you in the band, like shit must go wrong all the time. Like you must have got really good at sort of just rolling with the bad times.
yeah, I feel like it. That was pretty hardcore though. They got fully just snapped in half almost. Obviously it sucked. They got it. Stu got his fixed. I think Joe just like fucking threw his in the bin. I can't remember. Maybe he got it fixed. But yeah, it definitely helps having like proper insurance these days. But like I feel like back in the day when shit would go wrong, it was yeah, I know it's always pretty bad, but I don't know. I'm still fucking so annoyed at myself for will go to my grave just like squirming over the thought of I lost this like Rickenbacker 360 guitar like in like 2020, and yeah, it's just killing me because it just disappeared from the face of the earth. I thought it was at the studio, and then I just it was just one of those things. So I just play like rhythm guitar and Murloc for other band, and we hardly
Yeah.
do stuff. So I just hadn't need to see it or use it, and then went to go find it, and it was just not at the studio. And I was like, well, what the fuck? I had a few parties, but it was just all friends. And then I was like, oh, the last gig I played, I drove home. I was sober. I remember being like, it was one of the first times in quite a while, well, ever really. I'd like just been completely sober and drove home. And I just remember being like cranky, like loading shit in from the car. And I have this terrible feeling that I just left it on the fucking footpath or something.
Fuck.
But yeah.
You can't let that stuff go with you, can you? I mean, it's easy
Yeah,
to
it's such a
say.
good guitar. It
Easy to
sort of made
say.
me like pissed off about like guitar ever since. I feel like I haven't like really played guitar yet. Like properly. Like, I don't know.
I think we're probably similar ages, like mid-30s. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm 33 next month.
I think people who have managed to play music or skateboard or make art, make visual art, make movies, whatever, like anyone who's kind of got to this age in this time where like, I don't know, it just seems like everything's more expensive and like buying a house is more expensive and just all these things in the bigger macro picture. But to be able to keep playing music and stay like kind of dedicated to the stuff that you want to do, like that's like impressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To dodge all of the, sorry, you go.
No, it is. Yeah, exactly right. It's a true blessing. I feel like every day, like I said, like, yeah, not skating and stuff anymore. It's like, it's fine because I get to go and do this other thing I love, every day. So
Yeah.
it's become very lucky to be able to be doing it still. And
Yeah.
I guess that's just, the same, like we all sort of have that same mentality in the group that like we are just very lucky in the position that we're in. So, and lucky that we still just like enjoy each other's company as well and like to make records and hang out with each other still like on a daily basis.
For sure. I mean, I think like traditionally, any kind of rock doc or like, biography of a band, there's so many reasons why, but it can be difficult, right? It can be difficult to be in a band. And you basically had the same lineup the whole way through, right?
Yeah, basically. No, like newcomers, but I feel like it's very tight knit in that way.
What'd you put it down to? I mean, obviously you enjoy each other's company, but I mean, like, there's so many distractions in life, and like to kind of avoid doing that thing where you're like, actually, all right, I need to pay my mortgage or do other things, what could you put that down to, do you reckon?
Like it helps being friends first and foremost before the band even started, to be honest, with like me, Cook, Lucas, and Stu. And before I was like playing with the guys, I already met Cabs and Joe a little bit. So, but yeah, it was a very strong unit in that sense. And yeah, we're kind of all just very like-minded and like, want to do everything sort of against the grain and what you're supposed to do. So all those sort of things help in keeping it like not stale and not frustrated and being able to, put out records, whatever we want, and, tour what we want and go to weird places and just sort of pick and choose our path a bit more. I feel like a lot of bands probably just get frustrated in the way they get kind of, I don't know, just pigeonholed or shoeboxed into, doing things in like a certain way and being, told that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it sounds like you keep it exciting for yourself. Like it's not like an obvious thing like, okay, next year we do the same as we did last year.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like every year, I feel like me and Joe more so are kind of always like, oh, when are we gonna just like make the big like magnum opus like album and try and just, I don't know, do the normal sort of thing and grow into trying to do set arenas and all this crap. And then we sort of just always come back around and just be like, no, that's just completely, that's not what we want at all. I think we just get like confused with like just seeing that, you see bands and artists progress and do these things in a like sort of just like traditional way. But I sort of just like taking the long road. You feel like you earned it more, and I feel like it makes you feel like you're gonna stick around for a fair bit longer too, maybe,
Yeah.
If you really worked hard for it.
Talking about the jobs, obviously, like there's the working hard for it and raising yourself up to the moment, but there's also that job of being like, okay, let's not do things just because we think we should do them or because other people do them.
Yeah, totally. yeah, and that's hard. Yeah, like you say, yeah, to do constantly. Like for us, like like surely we're running out of ideas for genres or like whatever, like concepts and things we're gonna, be doing. But like, I don't know, I feel like we always sort of come up with a way to make it our own, even if it's like, it's just gonna, I don't know if it's like a metal album or if it's just like a garage blues rock album or a electronic bass thing. It always sort of sounds just gizzardy in its own
Yeah.
way. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's just, I don't know, that's sort of just something I think we all kind of know in the back of our minds that like even if we tried to make some like I was saying the other day, like we like I was saying before, we have these conversations sometimes like should we try and like just for an experiment, like try and play the game and do the classic like I don't know album and I feel like then we always just have these conversations and Stu's sort of said recently like I feel like if we tried to make like a commercial rock album I just like without even realizing sabotage it like so I feel like it just wouldn't happen like I'm sure we could but like yeah I just feel like it's just not in our nature to go down that path but yeah, I don't know, but that's just you just get interested in like I'm curious. But at the end of the day I
Yeah.
think I'd um rather work for my um longevity than like just be a overnight success buzz band. Because I don't know, I think it's a lot rarer to be able to still be relevant and be still there, like making an impact, well into the later years of your career.
For sure. I feel like this is maybe like a bit of a clickbaity question. I don't mean it to be like this, but would you care if Gizzard like dropped off and like people stopped coming to your shows?
I do wonder that like after this long that we probably are quite an annoying band to a lot of people with like how much we put out and how much like people just sort of probably just get sick of it being feeling like it's just put in front of them all the time and um so yeah, like I don't know. I sometimes wonder that if I wasn't in this band, would I just hate this band? Would like I don't know. But like I just find it just like just a bit annoying or something. But I just think ultimately, like you can't deny some of the material though. Sometimes I like honestly think if I wasn't in this band and I was a bit of a fan, I would be probably a big fan because I know I feel like it
Yeah.
would be one of my favorite bands. But it's just each to their own. But like you said, because we have so much shit and people just might drop off and want us to just go back to playing making Non-Agone Infinity 2 or some crap that it might just if people just fall out, I feel like it will just hopefully be a band that will like continue to just come back around and maybe just pick up new and different fans. If it was to drop off, I think it wouldn't be much of an issue because I feel like it would just be it would have its phoenix from the ashes moment at some point in the future.
One thing I wanted to ask you about is Heavenly Recordings. Love that label. I used to produce their radio show and get along with Jeff really well. I remember when you were releasing records on Heavenly, I remember thinking, because you would put the stems of your tracks on your website, right? And you were like, look, if you want to press up your own LP, if you want to make a dub plate of our record, you can. And I remember thinking, I would love to be on a fly on a wall when you were telling the label that, being like, okay, like you're the record label and your business is sell our records, but also we're going to let people press up their own records if they want.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that was really funny.
Yeah, I can't remember if Polygon Dwanaland when we did that was I can't remember if it was still with Heavenly or not, but I do remember ATO. I think we still were with, and they were like down with it. I think they were kind of just down for just how wacky and like bizarre we were, and like people just like, I don't know, just were along for the ride, which is cool because I feel like they also just by that point didn't really have much of a control over us in that sense because they were saying yes because they were just stoked for putting out all these albums, and then we're like, well, it feels a bit rich to make everyone pay for 5 albums this year, so let's just give one away for free.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, there's more of you. There'll always be more of you than them.
Yeah.
There's 6 of you going into a meeting, be like, look, this is what we want to do.
Yeah. Totally. Well, I feel like Stu just sort of made the call. I feel like after Joe, Cavs, and Stu did most of that record, I feel like Joe and Cavs are probably a bit confused more than anyone. But it's cool. It made sense. It was too many records in one year, so you got to cut some slack somewhere.
Totally, and I think even like that's the practical side of it. From the kind of like fan side of it, it's cool because when obviously so much mainstream rock music, people do the same things, people do the same tours, play the same venues, basically like sort of live this kind of template life of a band. And I think as a fan of King Gizzard, people live vicariously through you. People like that you do weird stuff because it allows us to be weird in our own lives as well. And it's like, it goes both ways, that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's all part of it. All part of the freaks getting together and seeing what freakish things evolve.
Hell yeah. Phantom Island sounds sick. I mean, Flight B741, great. And, maybe because he's just on the mind, but I just thought of like Brian Wilson and Beach Boys. And if it sounds like Phantom Island to me is like the most Beach Boys King Gizzard has kind of been in. I guess I'm thinking in like arrangement, and the way it makes me feel.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, for sure. Nah, I've been today and a little bit last week. I've started going through the stems and listening to all the vocal overdubs that everyone's doing, trying to see if I can help. Start figuring out like the harmonies and stuff. I feel like Fly B741 and this Phantom Island, there's a lot of harmonies going on, and it's sort of one of the last things we think about when we're trying to do songs live, and because we've got so many songs to play and learn all the time that it's obviously the vocal harmonies and things are the last thing we think of, and a huge priority some of the time, and I feel like hopefully we can make it a bit more of a priority in the future, but. Yeah, like listening to some of Stu's like vocal overdubs and stuff, like it was like it would be like My Part or Cookies and or like on Phantom Island. I think Cookie had some wild ones on Flight B741. But I feel like most of them like aren't too crazy, and then Stu's come in and it's just like, man. And I was just like sending him videos the other day, like joking around, just being like, what have you done like listening to this shit? Because it's just like he's like got all these layers of like all of a sudden it's like a barbershop like quartet cross with like Beach Boys like coming in with these like oohs and ahs, and then there's like the bop bop bop, and then and like all these.
You're gonna have to try and do that live.
Well, the thing is, I'm sitting here like trying to learn all this shit, and then I know for a fact that we're gonna get together in a rehearsal room next week, and they're gonna be like, "Oh no, it's chill. Like we don't need to do all that," or like I'm not gonna do that, or like I don't know. It's just like we'll get the orchestra to do that stuff or whatever. But it'd be cool to pull off some of it because some of it's really cool and wacky. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, there's lots of Wilson vibes in there for sure.
Is that the work of King Gizzard? If you had to put it down to one kind of box, one jumbled box of loads of things, is that box learning the parts of all these different songs, all these different lyrics, all these different melodies? Is that the job of being in King Gizzard, is just knowing a lot of songs, a lot of lyrics, a lot of riffs?
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like I'm finding it hard to do much else. Like, I haven't done much Murloc stuff in a while because it is also like there's not much time for it, and also like my brain capacity as I'm getting older just can't really fit much more info other than like Gizzard stuff. Like, luckily I got to do that Gum tour recently, so I don't have time. It was at a perfect time where like there wasn't much Giz stuff going on, so I was able to just have a week or two to like get really focused and like try and be rehearsed enough for that. But then, yeah, like it's crazy.
Lot.
Like I've been trying to learn like just normal songs and stuff lately, and they're just like, you know, one week I'll be trying to learn whatever the hell, and then the next it's like straight back into Giz rehearsals, like or whatever, or practicing or touring, and then I come home and I just can't remember a fucking note from that song that I'd like just learned, like, you know, or like, cause it's just, I just get bombarded with like all this Giz stuff to put in the memory bank.
Hey, appreciate the chat. I really appreciate the time on a Monday evening for you. Thank you for this.
Cheers. Thanks, man. It was good chatting.
King Gizzard, when you look at like your records and just your time as a band, it's so sprawling. What's been a particular period of time that really stands out? I mean, maybe it's now, maybe it's always in the moment, but is there a particular time that fucking gives you life?
There's just so many to name, from even like the beginning of when we, you know, played Meredith's music festival here in Melbourne, Victoria. That felt like a moment of being pivotal, to even like that phone call from Stu saying that we're going to go on tour overseas, or like I don't know, there's been just so many milestones now that it's hard to sort of pinpoint, and when they always keep getting like one ups each other, I guess. But yeah, I don't know, I think just lately the moments when we're on tour and all the guys have their kids and stuff hanging around, I think that's just like super beautiful and cool.
Yeah. There's that line on what song is it from Phantom Island, Silent Spirit. There's that really nice line. I'm not sure if it's you singing it, but it's about like, you know, I miss the kid and I miss you. And there's a very beautiful kind of wholesome feeling to that, and you feel that family connection.
Yeah, there's lots of those sort of references on the record from the guys. I think mine are more probably based towards like my friends, or like I feel like in the last few years having people close to me pass away and things like that. So yeah, that's just a part of it. This is all the sacrifices you make, you know. You miss out on moments and times with your children, or you miss out on being there for a friend when they needed you, or like, I don't know, you know, and your parents and things, you get older and people pass away and people are growing up, and yeah, it's just the nature of being in a band. Everyone makes sacrifices.
Your friends and family must fucking love what you do. You know, even like people going to the King Gizzard shows love it. But I mean, I imagine your family and friends must think that it's fucking rad.
Yeah, for sure. The support is always very strong. But yeah, it is it's tough because I like to, you'd always like to spend more time with these people, but yeah, like you said, you know that they're very supportive. So you know that they're not you're not avoiding their company.
Yeah.
You just you just can't help it.
Yeah. Hey, I imagine you've worked some sort of various and precarious jobs. I mean, probably not for a little while now, but I'm a big fan. I feel like we're in that generation. I mean, obviously not everyone is the same, but I feel like our parents' generation were the people that they'd probably just get to work at age 16. And like our generation is probably the generation that people have been able to, university has been accessible to a lot more people. And I think that means sort of delayed adult life for a lot of us. And that means getting loads of different jobs. And I'm a big fan of hearing about people's work fuck ups, because I think if you've got a short-lived job, usually you end up making a few fuck ups in the workplace. And I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, asking you, but have you got any particular memories of working those kinds of jobs and those kinds of days that were just fucking wrecked?
Oh yeah, I feel like I had the most weirdest cooked little jobs out of the band before we didn't have to do that anymore. But yeah, I don't know. One of the most mundane jobs I had, I worked 2 weeks in this little factory packing FPOS machines, and that was fucking shit. just fucking 1, 2, 3, just like bang, bang, bang in a box, passed along. And of course, you just working next to some like racist, homophobic twat, or something. I don't know. It's always just, that warehouse life. I worked in a bunch of warehouses for a while, and you work with some really red hot, Monster Energy drinking, service station pie eating, legends. That are just,
that's a good cross. You get a good cross section of life in those places, don't you?
Yeah, it's great. It's actually kind of just like, you just walk away with so many great song ideas. To be honest, it's good blue collar shit. I don't know. It's
Did you ever like fuck it up? Did you ever like smash it or like cause the company a lot of money? Or
I worked at my friend's dad's Japanese furniture store, and one day, I'm pretty sure it was probably the same day, I went and like smoked a joint with like one of the other dudes like on our lunch break, and came back in, and my eyes were like redder than the devil's D, and the boss and that were like, "You're stoned," and I was like, "Nah, dog, we just got conjunctivitis or something. Like it's all good." And he just like put me on the back of this truck, and they made me like try and lift in this huge like glass like tower thing, and of course I just like chipped the end of the glass, and I think it was like immediately like unsellable and was like quite expensive, and I just slowly shimmied away from that one.
So there was Ambrose from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard here on 101 Part-Time Jobs. There's a mouthful for you. King Gizzard's new record, Phantom Island, is out now. Hopefully you can catch them live. We'll be back later this week with an episode with Oracle Sisters. That's coming up on Thursday. And then I'll go to Glastonbury. So if you're at Glastonbury, hopefully see you then. Next week, it's Gweno and then Rival Consoles. Beyond that, Emma Jean Thackeray, Coco Roco, Hugo Chegwin from People Just Do Nothing, Jasmine 40, Yassi Salek from Bandsplain. Yeah, loads of stuff coming up. If you want to know when those come out, then click subscribe. See you soon.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.